Hi, David Finch here. Welcome to my course on creating a comic book page. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at composition. These are the fundamentals that I use daily to help me create dynamic comic pages that flow and tell the story in the most interesting and effective way possible. We'll start with some basic concepts that will help you break down and arrange the most important elements of each panel, and then we'll take a look at compositional shapes and how we can use those to design and block in those elements. If you want to follow along with me as we design our own comic page, head on over to proko.com/comic page and sign up for the course. We'll have more lessons and go much further in depth into what we learn here. We'll be posting premium episodes regularly, so I hope to see you there. All right, let's get started.
So the first thing that I want to cover is something that's called the rule of thirds. For our purposes, all we need to know is that vertically we're dividing our image into 3 equal parts, and horizontally we're doing the same. And what that gives us are these 4 points right here. And these 4 points are what we're going to want to choose to place the most important elements of our panels. And so an example of this, I'll quickly rough in my rule of thirds. It really does not need to be absolutely perfect. I'm going to draw a figure just right about here. You'll find variations on this. I could go well off of my center of interest, fairly far off of it, and still have it work relatively well. Obviously, this is pretty simple just for the purposes of getting the point across, but my eyes are basically directly inside that focal point. And if I draw another figure in the background, I can draw him directly on the opposing point, and it makes for a nice, pleasing composition. And there are multiple ways to use this just using heads. I can draw a figure looking into a shot, just like this, and I can draw another figure looking out at him. And you'll see this in movies and that kind of thing all the time, used very effectively. I can draw a figure here. And I can draw another figure, and this will represent my horizon line too. I can draw another figure smaller in the background, just along the other one. And so they're level with each other, but they both rest directly on my rule of thirds lines. And in a vertical panel, we get the same basic effect. For instance, a huge rock formation and maybe a sunset here, just to keep things very, very simple. And that makes for a very pleasing balanced composition. Another example in a vertical panel could be a large figure standing on a rock formation, and then another smaller figure in the opposing quarter. Generally speaking, this effect is most pleasing when you have something that's quite a bit larger and then something that's quite a bit smaller to balance. This is an incredibly versatile rule, and you'll find that it applies all over the place in panel design. Here's a panel of a character. He's sitting down in the foreground of a panel, and I've got his head essentially across this point here, and I can draw another figure walking up to him, and I don't need to make sure that his head is lined up on this point. I just need to make sure that the figure is, generally speaking, taking up this